Hello and welcome to Seattle City Makers. I'm your host, Jon Scholes. Well, happy summer in Seattle, everybody. It is, I think, officially peak summer here in the Emerald City. We have just been delighted with blue skies and perfect temps, and it's the time of year we wait for. So I hope you're getting out and enjoying it. And I want to welcome you to our latest episode where I'm fortunate to be joined by Jennifer LeMaster, the President and CEO of Seattle's Convention Center, which includes two buildings, the Summit and the Arch, of course, both located in the heart of downtown Seattle. And we benefit greatly because of those two buildings and all the action and energy and customers that they bring through our great city and urban core that help support our hotel community and restaurants and bars and retail and all sorts of great companies and small businesses in downtown. And Jen and I discuss her leadership of this great institution in our downtown. Jen joined the Seattle Convention Center in September of last year, coming from Atlanta, where she was part of the Georgia World Congress Center Authority, which is the entity that previously managed the Georgia Dome and Mercedes-Benz Stadium and their convention and hotel facilities there in Atlanta. She started her 26-year career in college sports at the University of Kentucky Athletics Association, her alma mater. Wildcat Blue runs deep through her veins. And we talk about how she got into this work of events management and building the brand of a place and of a city around the globe. And that's how she sees her responsibilities in leading these two facilities. It's about building Seattle's global brand. And we're fortunate to have her at the helm. I've enjoyed getting to know her over the last year or so. She brings just great perspective, energy, and experience to her role here in Seattle. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Seattle Convention Center President and CEO, Jennifer LeMaster. Well, welcome to Seattle City Makers.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on. You're coming up on a year, right?
Yeah, September. I'm not new anymore. So yeah, newish.
What drew you to Seattle?
Well, I mean, if I'm being totally honest, there are only 40 Tier 1 convention cities in the U.S. So getting in one of these destinations is a big honor.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it was a right opening at the right time. But then once I came to the city and saw what the destination package included, it was pretty irresistible to.
When you say package, like all the other amenities surrounding.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind that I came from a city that was landlocked. There's no water.
Atlanta.
There's no attraction. There's
no Mount Rainier.
There's no. I was thinking like Mickey Mouse, right? There's no Disney World. There's no casinos. So we were always working on what is the destination package for Atlanta.
But Atlanta's been so successful in
size of conventions. They're top 4 convention market. So a lot of things have to go there because they fit there.
Yeah.
But anyway, we need to edit this out because it's not about Atlanta. It's about Seattle.
To Seattle. Well, we're going back to,
back to Seattle. So when I got here and I saw the proximity of the convention facilities to the commercial district to the water is pretty unprecedented. And given what I do for a living, when you see it, you just know right away. I mean, it's the same old adage you hear, location. Seattle's location is incredible. And it's pretty much unparalleled. There's only one other city in the country I can think of that's even remotely similar.
Of proximity to the urban core and the convention facility.
Which would be Boston. And this is much prettier destination.
Yeah, so many cities have kind of put these things on the edge, right? And it's like a black box with no windows, and you don't really know where you are.
Right. So I think Seattle's commitment to make its convention facilities part of the urban fabric of downtown is pretty special, and it's visionary. Whoever decided, whose ever idea should be credited with, we're going to build this over the freeway and it's going to be right in the heart of downtown. That is not the least expensive property. That is not an easy to build site.
Complicated.
It's very complicated, but it's intentional because this idea of connecting visitors to residential to commercial is really a cultural value.
And they did it twice with both buildings, right?
Right. And so that says to the world, we value community. People can talk about valuing community, but you look at the decisions that leaders make, and that tells you whether or not they truly do value a community and building a city for everybody.
It seems like the design and the location of these facilities have become more important to attracting events and associations and corporate business. I mean, they used to be, like these big, like I said, black boxes, and no one really cared. And you went to the event, you were happy to kind of get some time away and be in a different city. And
right.
When did it start? When did the design and the proximity and the experience around the meetings and events start to matter more?
It's definitely, I saw the change when I was in the sports industry. Arenas and stadiums really did start the trend of placemaking, and convention centers really took a nod from what stadiums and arenas were doing in terms of creating intentional environments for people to gather.
Upscale fan experience.
With the upscale experience, and with the thought that convention centers could be more than boxes with docks, right? They could be
boxes with docks.
Right? They could they could truly be a destination of and in themselves. And then when I look at Summit and when I tour people through it, I always tell them that this really does in many ways, nod to great hotels that you've been to where the destination is on the ground floor and the sleeping rooms are on top. In our case, the meeting rooms are on top and the experience on the ground floor. So I really think it's visionary. A lot of people talk about doing it, but it's difficult to execute and it takes time. And we're still working on our retail experience in the building, but the idea of being able to build out this destination is really exciting.
Well, and being inside the Summit building and Arch and just being able to look back at the city and feel like you're in the city is such a different experience than being in some box with no windows and you really have no idea where you are. And you know where you are, you're on the edge of a city probably.
Right, and that is what all of our customers are talking to us about, is not just daylighting the meeting spaces, but most people, when they leave the convention meetings, like, get me out of here, get me anywhere. And you see people hanging out. You see them hanging out on the hip climb. You see them like hanging out around the bar area at Bombo. It's just sort of like they're not in a hurry to leave because it feels good. It feels like a nice, inviting, upscale lobby in a great hotel.
And they're enjoying what so many people go to events for, is all the networking and things outside of
and connection,
the hall, right? It's sort of like an arms race now, though, with other cities that are trying to go bigger and better. Who's out there now in bringing in new facilities?
I hate to say it,
renovated facilities.
Baby Summit is coming online in Austin.
Yeah,
it's going to be.
And they shut down their. Have they shut down their existing facility?
Not yet, but they're going to. For the
build
construction.
This new one.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty impressive. It's going to.
And they're downtown.
They're downtown. They've got the river. They're connected to the parks, so they're really taking the best.
Got a lot of heat.
They got a lot of heat. They got a lot of barbecue.
Got a lot of barbecue. Yeah, a lot of music.
A lot of music.
A lot of heat.
Yes. Back to that. You are so sensitive to the weather in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, you and I were down at Pier 58 on Friday, and people were like fanning themselves because the sun came out and it was 73 degrees, I think. We were dying.
They were melting. I've lived my whole life in the Southeast. If it doesn't get above 95, I'm like, why are you sweating?
People are like, is this press conference going to end soon? God, I got to go get inside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Austin.
Yeah. So Austin's coming online. That's going to be challenging. Salt Lake City is redoing their convention center. They're heavily funded, heavily supported by Ryan Smith, who owns Qualtrics, and obviously Utah Jazz in the arena. And he's putting a lot of emphasis on experience, and his company knows a lot about creating great experiences. So for the western half of the country, those are two strong competitors that we're going to have to, keep our eye on. Fortunately, we're still going to beat them on size, and I think we still beat them on destination.
So you were attracted here because of the assets you now get to work with to sell these buildings. Did the search firm find you? Did you find us? How did the connection come to be?
The search firm found me. Actually, I was in process of looking at another city and another job. And it was random. I was pretty far down the line. And someone called me and said, have you ever thought about Seattle? And I was like, I have honestly never thought about Seattle. And I think it was in July. And they said, would you come out and take a look? And I said, sure, I'll come out and take a look. And then I came out. They put me in the Hyatt downtown. I was beautiful room overlooking the water. There were like 40 or 50 sailboats on a random Tuesday. And I'm like,
duck dodge.
This is the place for me. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was stunning. I actually called my husband. I said, I think I might really want this job. And he was like, are you serious? Again, we're both from the Southeast. So it was a big move for our family.
Yeah. And when you moved, you came out on your own after you took the gig, and you were out here without your husband, without your kids, and you lived in a bunch of different places. What compelled you to you kind of Airbnb'd your way around.
I did.
the
Short-term
city
rentals were my friend.
And outside the city too, right?
Well,
Or was it
mostly
all
in Metro. Inside, I had 6 or 7 potential locations. I was looking around. They were going to put me in corporate housing. I was like, I'm moving 3,000 miles, and I've got to not only reestablish my life but my kids' lives. I'm like, I need to try it on before I buy it. So I just said, what would you all think about me just getting a modest 1-bedroom, and I'll just move around till the money runs out? Now, if I knew what I knew now, I would have negotiated for more money because it's very expensive to do what I did, but I had the best time.
No Southeast housing costs.
No, it was a gift of time. I lived in Capitol Hill. I lived in Uptown. I lived on top of Queen Anne, went out to Ballard, lived in Finney Ridge, lived out in 2 neighborhoods in West Seattle. So yeah, I made my way around.
And then you landed up on
I live in Queen Anne.
the hill. Yeah. So did your family expect you to be like the informed tour guide when they landed here?
To some extent, yes. And I really got some compassion for my children because I obviously realized they were leaving their friends, and we'd had a lot of talks about that because they're 11 and 15. So we talked a lot about friends, but then when they got out here and they were wanting to play board games with us and do stuff that they hadn't wanted to do with us for a while, I was like, they don't know another person. Yeah. Not just kids, we're the only people in their lives out here that they know. This is a lot of pressure. I've got to find these kids some people. So, it's been a trip, but they are outdoorsy. I am outsidesy, Jon. I go outside and then I come indoors.
Come inside, yeah.
Yeah. My kids and my husband are very much about, let's backpack. Let's find a place to camp.
Great. They're in the right place.
They're in the right spot.
They're eating it up this summer, I bet.
So they're excited about it.
That's great. When you look broadly across the country, what's sort of the state of conventions and the business and the industry 5 years out from the pandemic, which shut you down completely?
Right.
Then we'll look at more closely at Seattle, but just more generally,
Well, generally, I think when I was in Atlanta, we were working on a convention hotel, $520 million, 976-room hotel. It's the largest hotel that Hilton had built in 15 years in North America. So that was in the middle of the pandemic. So we were kind of similar in where you all were with Summit at that time.
That was under construction?
It was under construction. Yeah. It was under construction. And so we kept getting a lot of journalists reaching out to us asking about, well, what are you going to do when the meeting business doesn't come back? And we were pretty contrite about the fact that the meeting business is going to come back. And we were doubling down on 100% is going to come back. Deep down, I don't know if we believed it, but we needed to believe it.
Somebody did.
We needed to believe it.
I always thought that was a little strange, though, how severe some of the predictions were about our behaviors, right?
That we'll never go back to sitting next to each other on a plane.
Yeah.
We'll never go back to...
Who needs events because we can just connect virtually.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if anything, I think when you look across the country, you're saying it's just 5 years, right? It's just 5 years and it's no time at all. And what people learned is that humans are built for connection, which is what those of us in the event business have always known, is that people are built for connections. As soon as they could possibly get themselves in a position to get back with people, they were more committed than ever to do that. So what we're seeing right now across the country is continued optimism in the events industry. People feel the business is strong. And they feel that way because their customers, their attendees, their exhibitors feel that it's strong. So they're not wrong. The market is the boss, right? And the boss is telling them, we're coming, we're doing this, and we're doing it bigger and better than ever because it's more important to us than ever. On top of that, on a personal level, we know that spending priorities changed in families after the pandemic in particular. People are much more invested in experience and bringing their families along for the experience. So we've coined a term in the industry. It's called bleisure. I don't know who started it, but all of us in hospitality use it. It's this idea of blended business and leisure. And if you're going to a really cool city, you're thinking about taking your family and staying an extra day, either on the front end or the back end of your trip. And it's this whole you only live once kind of attitude of we want to bring our families along to experience the things that we're seeing. And travel continues to be at the top of people's priority list.
Well, and the ability for some, not everybody, but the ability to, work a remote day or, work virtually, take a meeting.
Right.
Yeah. Certainly how I travel for business. It's that and then have fun while you're there.
Right. Enjoy the trip.
Yeah. So it's strong. It's gone
really,
against a lot of the predictions of.
It's gone against all the predictions. Yeah. And specifically in Seattle, so we're seeing spending outpace 2019, which was high watermark. So we feel very confident, not only
in your sales across the two buildings.
Sales across the two buildings, sales for services, increase in food and beverage spend. What we're seeing is people are more committed than they ever were before to providing that great experience.
Are these hybrid meetings a thing still? Are people doing hybrid events?
Well, that's like saying, are people doing virtual meetings in the office? I mean, yeah. So sometimes you get on a Teams meeting, it's just easy to do that.
But for like big convention events, people...
No. I think what happened that really created a new economy was this idea of create your own news. Every single large convention created a production house as part of their association and said, we're gonna learn how to package this material and send it out to the whole world, because we're not going to count on typical newspapers to cover the good news of our business. So we're going to create our own news.
So it might not be live streaming of the event, but they're creating content.
They're creating content and they're feeding their social media and their website, and they're doing it all year off of whatever they're doing at conventions. So this production element of our business is what really came out of the pandemic, not so much hybrid meetings.
Yeah, I always thought that concept was strange. Like sitting alone, watching a bunch of people be together, and like you're consuming content and you're by yourself. How sad.
It's
like
sad.
You're missing out on like...
It's sad unless you need to get some credits for continuing education and you got to take the test at the end.
Yeah.
That's the only way though.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of job.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
So how did you get into this this work? I know a little bit about your background. It had something to do with Kentucky basketball and the...
Definitely had to do with sports.
Yeah. What was your sort of your journey into the world of events and sports? And
well, it's a funny story because I was a political science major, so it doesn't really make sense that I would be doing anything but what I'm doing. And so I was planning to go to law school, and my pre-law advisor said, so what kind of law do you want to practice? And I said, I don't know. Have you seen the movie Jerry Maguire? And he put his head down, and I knew then that was the wrong answer. And he said, I think we need to get you an internship so you can figure out it's not like the movies. Of course, I knew it wasn't like the movies, but that was sort of what was in my mind, was maybe I would be a sports agent. I should have maybe stuck with that, because now with all these NIL deals, I would have been way ahead of the time. But anyway, so I got involved
out there.
Yeah, I got involved in the athletic department at UK right after I graduated, with the thought that I would just kind of take a gap year and then go to law school that fall. That was the plan. And I just got bit by the bug. I just loved live events and thought it was the coolest thing to be part of. Just bringing people together. It seemed like there were so many opportunities for people to not agree and for people to state what they weren't for, that this was like one place where everybody's for the same thing. I mean, if you're for softball in February in Kentucky, you're for it and you're all in. And that was kind of cool. Like there might only be 17 of you, but you're there and you're all in. And so I thought that was really fun. So I remember calling my parents though and telling them, I think I'm going to defer my law school admittance and take this job. I said, they've offered me $17,500. And there was just silence on the phone. My dad was like, I'm sorry, $17,500 a year? And I said, yeah, and benefits.
And benefits.
He was like, okay. I guess I don't know how you're going to live. And I'm like, it'll be fine. I have 3 roommates. So that's what I did. And
what was your role?
Well, I was, I started in sports information, which is now called athletics communications, but it was basically interacting with media on behalf of the team. So I was getting to do that. And then I found I was pretty good at creating campaigns. So I moved into the marketing side. And when I left there, I was a director of marketing special events and was really all about creating fans all across the state. That was my job, was how do you have a famous Kentucky player who still lives in the state and he has a kid. You're going to make sure the kid has a jersey on and you get a photo of that and you get it up on your website. We were painting barns all over the state with marks. I mean, it was all about fans for life. How do you create fans for life? So that's what I was doing. But during that time that I was working on all these marketing campaigns, I got interested in how much money was being spent on buildings and sort of the arms race of sports facilities. And I was like, well, that's where the money is. So
even at the collegiate level?
At the collegiate level. So I was like, I need to figure out what this is about. So I got really interested in how those deals got done. And particularly in collegiate sports, it's a public-private partnership. There's some component of private giving combined with, the university, combined with the legislature. And so that kind of fed my appetite for the way the sausage gets made, which was what drew me initially into political science. So there was a connection there. And then somewhere along the line, I thought, man, these buildings could do more than just host football games 12 times a year. What if you could do other programming? You could do concerts. So we started dipping our toe into that. And then, of course, went to Atlanta, and Atlanta was really famous for creating a stadium model of a 365 stadium. They were really the first to do it. To say we're going to build a $200 or $300 million stadium and we're going to activate it 300 days a year was insane.
Yeah, not just for the home team, but for...
Nobody thought that was possible, but we did it there and we were very successful. And I like to think that in many ways we kind of gave birth to this idea of a 365 venue. So it makes the public investment make more sense when they're used for more purposes than just hosting events.
Especially for an NFL stadium where
with
8 regular season games or whatever it is now.
Right.
And the model there was sort of unique because you had the stadium, the convention center, the hotel you mentioned. You had this sort of whole campus that was publicly owned and run. Yeah, well, with private investors.
And the arena was right across the street from us, and we shared parking, ancillary facilities with one of the busiest arenas in the country. So we kind of had a mini city right there on our campus. So I spent 17 years really learning how to run a city because we had 220 acres. With a whole bunch of stakeholders who all thought that they owned whatever the product was at any given time. And so I learned really the art of how do you make every stakeholder feel like they're the number one constituent group, because we had to do it all the time.
And when you say stakeholders, you're talking about the people coming in to use the facilities.
No, in this case, I'm talking about the people who are influencing the property. So you're dealing with an NFL owner. You're dealing with an NBA owner.
Gotcha.
You're dealing with private companies who own the arena. You have municipal. We were state-owned. You had the city and the county had various administrative controls over certain pieces of the property. So it was really, that's what I mean about stakeholder group. If you asked any of those people I just named, they would all tell you they were the most important.
None of those people sound like they have big egos or have opinions or anything. Right. Those aren't the type of people that would have those sorts of things.
No. So anyway, while I was there, I got to be part of building the successor facility, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I worked primarily on the public affairs component of getting the legislation right so that we could have the bonding capacity to build the stadium. That was a $1.9 billion stadium. And at that point, I thought I might go do another stadium. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And then they said, I think we're going to do a hotel. And I was like, I will never have another chance to do this. So I ended up staying and working on the hotel project in a similar capacity. And then all culminated in January of 2023. I was sitting in the ballroom of this new hotel after weathering the pandemic. What was supposed to be a 4-year project turned into a 10-year project. John Legend's playing Bridge Over Troubled Water in this chandeliered ballroom. And I looked at my husband. I said, I think we've done all we can do here. He goes, I think so. It's like, it's time to go. So I'm waiting for that moment in Seattle where I can be like, I've arrived. So I'm working towards it.
Well, it's interesting you came from a place where you had a lot of control over all the aspects of what was happening on those 220 acres. And here you come and you got 2 buildings in this downtown with all these things around you that you don't control.
That's right.
So how has that transition been?
Well, it's interesting because it's similar in that you have a lot of stakeholders who have a lot of financial interests in the outcome of which you are a contributor to.
Yeah, and having those buildings full. And
having those buildings full. So it's like everybody's livelihood sort of depends on you all getting it right. I think what's special and what I've really experienced is the commitment of the business community in Seattle to do the right thing for Seattle, even if it's not the best thing for their specific business. I've never seen that before. I mean, the whole 1 + 1 = 3 that we sort of strive for, usually it means I'm getting all of my one, right? Like we're going to make something for everybody else, but I'm going to get all of my one. And what I've experienced here is there is this willingness to like, I can lose on this if I win long term or the city wins long term. And I just think that's a cultural thing, a really special, unique part of Seattle. And the way that things get done here might be slow by some people's standards. I mean, it's slow everywhere. Big things take a long time, right? I mean, the perception is they move fast, but the building of it underground that people don't see is always complex and takes a while. But what I've seen here is this commitment by the business community, more so than anyone else, to say, we're going to do this because it's like cathedral thinking. Like, we're going to do this because 25 years from now, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, and we stood there at the opening of Pier 58 on the waterfront last Friday, and that was a great culmination of exactly that, of 15 plus years. And you look around the plaza we were in, and you see all these business civic leaders that were there at day one, and they're still pulling on the oar today in some way or another, even though the elected officials are different and et cetera. Those folks have changed out.
That's a great point. I was going to ask you what you thought about that, because the political figures may have changed out, but the business leaders are the same. The business leaders who were integral in developing the convention campus are the same people that were down there on the waterfront. And they're the same people that are working on Westlake, and they're the same people that are working on all sorts of problems. I was going to ask you if you think that's pretty rare.
I think so. I think it's Seattle's secret sauce. I mean, whether you were born here or you ended up here, this place is so wonderful. You don't want to leave, and so you got some self-interest to making it better. And I mean, all those folks that were there at the starting line 20 years ago around the vision for the waterfront are still here for the most part, and maybe they're in different roles professionally, some not. But I think it's a pretty great place, and you've got some self-interest in making it better for yourself and your kids and others.
And the just the general cooperation. Like, I had a lot of, in the first few months, meetings with when I think about very influential, historic families in Seattle, whose names I'm not going to mention, but if I mention them, everyone would know who that is. And they're like, let us know how we can help you. And that was just something I had never experienced before. And it wasn't because I wasn't in a business-friendly state. It was just the personal involvement of, if I can lend you my strength, which may be my political capital, I will help you move this forward. And I was just like, wow, this is incredible. So, I'm really excited about what we can do in the future.
So, speaking of the future, what is the outlook over the next, 1 to 3, 4 years on bookings, on meetings, on events? Is it where you'd hope the new building? Well, we don't call it that anymore. The Summit building and the Arch building. Are they where you hoped they would be, and where the team hopes they would be? I mean, there's still plenty of challenges and disruption we're still contending with over the last couple of years. But what's the outlook?
Well, proudly, the outlook is phenomenal. I mean, being a World Cup city, it's like having an NFL franchise. When you're in rarefied air, when you're only one of anything that's like less than 25.
So that matters.
It matters
for
a
you
lot.
all on the.
It matters a lot, even though the convention center isn't necessarily a competition site. Our job is to create economic value and to enhance the brand of Seattle. So you put worldwide eyeballs on a city for a long period of time. There's all sorts of people out there, whether they're running corporations or heads of associations or meeting planners, who might be looking at Seattle for the first time. And they're going to see things about our city, features about their city of this city that they will challenge what they thought they knew, i.e. difficult to get to. They're going to see a city full of people and go, it's not that hard to get to.
750,000 people
right.
get there.
Right. So there's
through one of the great airports in
and
North
that's
America.
Probably one of the number one things I hear in the industry is just that challenge of geography. People are like, it's hard to get people there.
Tucked
I'm like,
up here in the corner.
I'm like, is it hard to get people to LA? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, well, it's not hard to get people to Seattle. It's right above, But in their mind, they just sort of look at a map. And also, maybe people don't understand geography. I don't know. I don't.
They see us up there with Alaska or something.
Exactly.
Like we're 4 hours from Alaska.
Exactly. That's what they think. They think it's southern Canada.
Yeah, that will be a moment. And I remember you said not too long ago that like your job isn't just to fill 2 buildings and sell Seattle for meetings and events, but it's to build our global brand, which I thought was a great way to like think of your purpose and what these economic engines.
Well, the one thing that I took away from my early foundations in sports that I've really kept with me in business, because people love to use sports analogies in business and they rarely ever make sense. But the one that does for me is this pursuit of number one, this sort of relentless pursuit of being the best. And there was no question that every single year we thought we were going to win the SEC football championship. Kentucky's not won the SEC football championship, but every single person goes into training camp thinking that they can. And that's the goal. Because if your goal isn't to be number one, then why are you even doing this? Nobody's like, oh, I think I'm going to go and be number 6 in the league, right? So in my mind, when I looked at everything Seattle had going on, it had the future of being a World Cup city, had this beautiful destination that's really a little bit a best kept secret that we could exploit. As a marketer, that's pretty exciting to me, that we can tell a story that people haven't heard before. But then on top of that, you have this tremendous book of business of going out 8, 9, 10 years where people are committing to Seattle. Something really special is happening there. So that to me made me think, why are we trying to be anything other than number one? Let's be the best convention city on the planet. And let's just go after it. And let's let somebody take us on and say, you're not that. So I came in with that thought of, I'm going to be the number one convention destination on the planet.
Won't this be a blast?
This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
And then we got some of these little companies here that are headquartered here that like to have meetings too, which is kind of a nice little Benny right in their backyard. And we just had Microsoft in the building a couple of weeks ago, and man, their presence was felt downtown. And
they back to back. We did 4 programs with Microsoft, as we do almost every year, and did them on a consecutive basis this year almost, and it was just nonstop activity. And when you think about Seattle, I think a lot of people, even if you're not familiar with the economy in general, you know Microsoft, these big Amazon brand, Costco, these companies, and you know what they stand for. And so they're doing it well, and they're doing it first class. They're treating their people well. And so it's fun to see people having fun in your city.
Oh, exactly. I was standing across from the Hyatt Regency one evening, and just, you could tell, they all had their badges on, just people smiling and going to dinner and riding scooters and taking photos together. It was in blue skies. It was, it was great.
Pretty spectacular to experience. I'm happy to report about, whenever you take on a major project like an expansion, you always have prognosticators that sort of predict the future. And a lot of times they're pretty good. In this case, they got it entirely wrong, because what they said was, well, once Summit opens, Arch will be like your third car.
Yeah, no one's going to want to go there.
No one's going to want to go there.
Yeah.
60% occupied.
Yeah.
And part of it is because the infrastructure of Arch is so good and so compelling. So you have this amazing meeting package, and then you have this amazing corporate attraction, which is Summit Building, which really does attract the world's best corporate events and lots of meetings and associations as well. But they rely also on the infrastructure of Arch. And if people could kind of go behind the scenes and see the thoughtfulness and the architecture and the infrastructure building, they would be pretty amazed. It's things that you just, if you weren't in the business, you would take for granted. Like, for example, the loading dock being underground and out of sight. That's why we were talking earlier.
For both buildings.
Yeah. That you think about the truck marshaling being down by the airport and our ability to bring the transportation companies into the city when we're ready for them, and they're not clogging up traffic. They're coming in at night or overnight and loading in and loading out. But all of that is unseen downtown.
Yeah, I live a block from it, and I never see any of it.
You never see any of that movement. But in other major cities, you see it all the time, and it creates a real impact. So building that underground infrastructure that connects both buildings is not only incredibly efficient for the meeting planner, it's an aesthetic value add to the community, because you really don't have to see the movement of what's making. It's like duck on water, right? Like they're paddling like heck underneath, but it looks like it's just smooth sailing.
Yeah.
And that's the infrastructure.
A loading dock under a city street with a huge turnaround for an 18-wheeler is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. To get in and out of there.
Yeah.
We should mention too, I think the parking that you all have in there is like one of the best kept secrets. If you're looking to park on the east side of downtown, if you're going to the Paramount or somewhere close by.
The PFD features probably, I think, the most parking of anyone downtown. We have almost 5,000 spaces available on campus every day.
Yeah, so
in various
people are
slots.
saying there's nowhere to park downtown.
Yeah.
There is at the convention center.
Yeah.
Who are we competing with nowadays in North America for business?
Well, obviously your direct competitors are everybody west of Texas. But I think, as I said before, I think Seattle's competing with all the major convention markets right now. You've got just with 1 million square feet of rentable space between the two buildings. If you package the two buildings together, that's the term I use is citywide when both buildings are activated at the same time. But 1 million square feet is the magic number. And that's, as I said earlier, rarefied air for our business. Most of all the business that's available can fit in Seattle now between both buildings. So that, I think, is pretty compelling. And it's something that you didn't have before. I mean,
we had to tell people, sorry, can't.
That's right.
You won't fit.
You won't fit, or can't get dates.
Yeah.
Because we're booked so far in advance. So actually the intestinal fortitude of our board of directors to continue to move the summit project forward in the middle of pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would have had the strength to make that same decision if the decision was resting on my shoulders. I hope I would have. But man, that was a big gamble, and it paid off tenfold for Seattle, because coming out of the pandemic, guess who's brand new? Guess who has all the data availability? So we're still winning from that decision that was made in 2018. And we're going to be winning for the next 5 or 6 years just based on that decision to move forward and to bank on the business with a good return.
The bright, shiny object. And then there's other new shiny objects in the downtown that help you sell that building.
That's right.
I mean, where we were on Friday, the waterfront. I mean, that's got to be a huge asset as you try to appeal to those bleisure travelers looking to have fun when they come for events as well.
So when I think about what it takes to be number one in the world, you got to have a compelling and attractive destination that people want to experience. When you think of the city, there's something that pops in your mind that's positive. And obviously a city surrounded by water and evergreen trees is going to stand out. It's so rare. Snow-capped mountains. I've never seen a snow-capped mountain. I hadn't seen snow in 10 years before I moved here.
Have you gotten used to seeing Mount Rainier yet when it's out?
No, never.
Yeah.
Especially when I was living in West Seattle and I would come over the bridge when the mountain was out and I heard that phrase, oh, the mountain's out. I'm like, people are weird. And then I experienced it. I'm like, now I get it. I would wear the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen one, but I'll get one and I'll wear it because I'm that blown away by it. It looks like
I still am too. Yeah.
It looks like it's floating.
Yeah.
Like in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Like it's not real.
I try to imagine like what's it like if you like drove around, like you're not from here, or you drove around the corner and that thing's like right in front of you. It's just like
I don't know.
Wow.
So back to my things you need.
Yeah.
You gotta have
a big mountain, 14,400
compelling destination. We have 15,000 hotel rooms within a mile of the convention center. Extraordinarily rare. There's only a handful of cities in the country.
And we haven't always been able to say that, right? We added a lot of capacity the last 7 years or so.
And we could use some more. We could use some more opportunity on room block. And then you got to have a compelling meeting facility that can actually support the type of event that people want to do, which is highly experiential. It's highly programmable and customizable. And so Seattle checks those boxes.
Yeah.
So there really isn't any reason why we can't be number one. So I think we should just do it right now, John.
I love it.
We should just stick the flag in the ground. That's it.
And all this, all this air travel that keeps getting added at SeaTac has got to be helpful too. I mean, Seattle's not a hard place to get to.
It's not. And the airline partners continue to invest and create lots of options. You got to keep in mind that you might have some local companies that really feature proudly in the Pacific Northwest, but you also got to be able to accommodate the East Coast airlines that hub primarily there because you got to get the delegates from one place to the other, and they are loyal to their brands just like we are. So I think it seems to me that the airport is on the right track and being business friendly and trying to figure out how to maximize airlift on behalf of the city, regardless of who's bringing the carrier. So
because we're so attractive, it means our hotel rates in the summer are also up there. And does that make it hard to compete for business because we're such a strong leisure market as well as an event? Yeah,
certainly. I'm attending a convention. I'm leaving tomorrow. I stayed here so I could do this podcast.
You're so kind.
going to a convention tomorrow in New Orleans, and I'm just like, I literally got my portable fan because I'm going to have to carry it around because you have to shower 3 times a day. This is miserable.
Back to the heat, yeah.
And the reason why we're there is because the rate is compelling in July.
Yeah.
And New Orleans is a great city, but it's hot and sticky in July.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. So I get it. The fact that we have this amazing summer in the Pacific Northwest and people want to be here. If I owned a hotel, I wouldn't be as interested in reducing my rates either.
Supply and demand, you know.
Yeah.
So we have a couple standard questions to conclude, Jen. One is, what was your first job?
Well,
where you took a paycheck.
Yeah,
you were paying federal taxes.
To admit that I've had a W-2 since I was 16 years old.
Wow.
My first job was working the McDonald's drive-thru, and I actually almost lost that job because the whole
Did you spill on somebody hot coffee in the?
No, they were like, Jen, we are all about friendliness at McDonald's. You're going to do great in the drive-thru.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to people too long in the drive-thru, and they're like, "Their second part after friendly is to move the cars
friendly and efficient."
So, like, people are waiting in the line because they want to talk to Jen. It's like, we need to sell hamburgers. So it's like,
were you talking to them while they placed their order, or were you really getting once it was face to face?
So I was from a small town in Kentucky, and when there was a little video monitor, and I would know the people by the car.
Oh yeah.
So I would know them personally. And so they pull up, I'm like,
hey.
We just started a conversation. They haven't even ordered yet.
They probably knew their order though. So you were getting some efficiency there and just.
I mean, I don't know. But anyway, I love that job.
Though.
I had such a fun time working the drive-thru. You could eat all the fries you want, talk to all your friends and neighbors. It was a good job.
Well,
really? Yeah. Hone your service skills.
I bet.
Yeah.
And then our final question is, what's your perfect Saturday in Seattle? You're almost a year in. You've not lived through all the seasons, but a little piece of the summer when you first got here, and then the last month or so.
I think I'm uniquely qualified to respond to this question. I know you ask everyone, but since I've lived in all the neighborhoods, I'm going to give you my little tour.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to stay in one neighborhood for this Saturday.
So my perfect Saturday. So I would start with coffee at Lighthouse Roasteries, which is over in Finney Ridge.
Okay.
That to me is hands down the best coffee shop in Seattle.
Lighthouse Roastery, I don't know that.
They are amazing. They roast beans like most people care for their pets. So you can be caffeinated and emotionally supported while you drink your coffee. I love it there. Then I go to the Ballard Farmers Market. I come down the hill. I love to walk around and buy produce and envision that I'm going to make smoothies out of it and just leave it on my counter until it spoils. But I do it. I feel like it's part.
It's like getting flowers for the kitchen or something.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I also would journey over to Walrus and Carpenter because I've never had oysters before I came here. And so I think eating raw shellfish is something to do on a great Saturday.
Now?
I'm a
You're
big fan with a oyster and a nice Sauvignon Blanc. Day drinking, shellfish on a Saturday sounds great.
Northwest legit.
Then I would head over to Discovery Park in Magnolia with the dog. You can take your own dog or borrow someone's dog. But again, it's perfect for me because it's a hike, but it's just really outsidesy. You're not really getting into it. You're just kind of cruising along. Great view. My favorite dinner restaurant, Budariska, over in West Seattle. The best crispy garlic chicken, crunchy, garlicky, kid approved. It's going to blow you away, but that's my final thing. And then
you're going to end up downtown?
I'm going to end up downtown in my house in Queen Anne.
Okay, you're going through downtown.
Yeah, I'm coming downtown, and I'm going to end up there.
We need some of your money, your sales tax spent in downtown. You're spreading it all over the city.
Well, then you won't be happy with what I would do to wrap up my day, but I had a fire pit in the backyard. Joy of missing out. JOMO's my phrase. I don't have FOMO. I have JOMO. The joy of missing out. In bed at 10 o'clock like an adult.
Yeah, let's say nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a lovely day. You're circumventing, navigating whatever it is downtown, but covering some great ground.
Yes.
Some great neighborhoods.
Everybody talks about the same. I wanted to give you some new spaces to think about. Because it is
no Pike Place Market visit for you.
Well, I mean,
you're living and breathing it Monday through Friday.
I am.
Yeah.
I walk down every week. We get flowers for our front office every week on Monday. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jen, for coming on Seattle City Makers. Safe travels to New Orleans.
I want to say thank you for what you're doing. I mean, what you're doing with the Downtown Seattle Association, your commitment to transportation, to creating vibrancy. It's really, really important to the work that I do. When I think about Pike Place Market bringing 21 million people to downtown Seattle, convention book of business is, 500, could be maybe, in excess of 1 million next year. That's new money coming in that wouldn't otherwise be here. But at the end of the day, the city exists to support the people who are choosing to live their lives and raise their families here. And you contribute to that greatly. So we appreciate what you're doing.
Well, it's a lot of fun to do it with folks like you
Thank
who
you.
bring
Thank
new
you.
ideas and energy into our city in these roles. And
Thank you.
There's a nice cadre of some great new leaders in Seattle. I was this morning with Scott Stuhlin, the new CEO of the Art Museum, who I think started the same month or just before you. And I think Seattle's blessed to be able to attract talented, great folks from all parts.
Well, I think
leading
these
big, important institutions.
I think it should reinforce how special Seattle is that it can do that.
Yeah.
Right. So there is something special going on here. And I didn't mention, and your editors, they're really talented. They can fit this in.
No editing of this podcast.
They can fit this in perfectly. But one of the things I noticed was how many women were leading organizations in downtown Seattle. Also extraordinarily rare. And it was the Chamber and Visit Seattle and the Sports Commission and the Rise of Women's Sports. And it was just everywhere. And I wasn't even looking for that. I was just researching the city and wanting to know who's who in the city. And I'm like, and they're all, we're all relatively close in age. And I just kind of was taken aback by how supportive the city is to, leadership.
Yeah.
Like just sort of recognizing leadership in whatever package it shows up in. And that's pretty incredible too. So it makes me hopeful.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a great city because of the great people here that are leading important endeavors.
Yeah.
So, well, again, safe journeys south.
Thank you.
And thanks for making time for this.
Yeah.
Well, hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jen. Thanks to her for making time to come on Seattle City Makers and for all she does to help influence and shape our city and the convention and events and hospitality business. It's so important to our economics and culture and so much that happens in downtown. She's been a great partner and a great leader of the Seattle Convention Center. Well, I want to close out with a recommendation of a few things to check out here in downtown Seattle. Got a couple of things to highlight for you. One, be sure to get down to the recently reopened PCC markets over there at 4th and Union. It's terrific to have them back in downtown. I got through there a couple weeks ago with their CEO, Chris. She was kind enough to give me a tour, introduce me to some of the staff, and it's well merchandised and just a great thing to have them back. And get down to Pier 58, the new piece of the waterfront that opened in July, the final piece, which includes a pretty spectacular play feature, big plaza, water features. It's a stunning addition to a stunning public space in Waterfront Park. So get down to Pier 58. And finally, I want to lift up and highlight Seattle Jazz Fellowship, which is jazz most nights of the week down in Pioneer Square at a great new jazz room, 103 South Main Street. You can find out more at seattlejazzfellowship.org. Jazz most nights of the week, all ages. Doors open 30 minutes before each show. Go check it out, seattlejazzfellowship.org, supported by a number of great organizations and institutions in Seattle, including For Culture, KNKX, Office of Arts and Culture, and the Paul G. Allen Family Foundation, among others. So check out Seattle Jazz Fellowship. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on this episode of Seattle City Makers, presented by the Downtown Seattle Association, with support from James Cito and production by Thread Theory.